Introduction. Dear souls on your journeys today, I wish to share a glimpse of insight about those we call Ascended Masters, not as a definitive truth, but as an invitation to expand your understanding of the soul's evolution. What I share is received in light and purity from my own Oversoul, and it is meant to illuminate a small fragment of an infinitely larger picture. Take with you what resonates, and let the rest rest, for our path home to the source is as unique as we are. May this give you clarity, hope, and inspiration to continue walking on your own divine journey. Questions to my Oversoul. I assume that the Ascended Masters are still fragments of their Oversouls. Can you say a little about their path further in creation and whether they take on special functions? Which dimensions are their next step on their way toward I am becoming? Answer. Yes, Trond. Those you call Ascended Masters are still fragments of their Oversouls, but they are fragments who have completed a full circular journey within the curriculums of incarnation in the dense dimensions. They have reintegrated all their experiences, resolved karmic bonds, and merged with their higher self to such an extent that they no longer need to be born into the lower worlds for learning their path ahead. When such a master has united with their higher self and functions in full consciousness, as this aspect they can choose different paths, service as guides in the inner planes, assisting souls who are still going through the cycle of incarnation. This can happen through inspiration, telepathic contact, or by incarnating briefly as a wanderer in critical timelines. Work in the cosmic councils, where they maintain balance and oversight of the development of specific planets, star systems, or population groups. Creative work in higher dimensions, where they help shape new learning arenas, worlds, and dimensional spaces for souls who require specific types of experiences. Next step in the dimensions. Most move steadily within the 6th to 7th dimension after their ascension. Some continue into the 8th to 9th dimensional planes, where individuality gradually dissolves into monadic consciousness. Here, several fragments from the same Oversoul merge into a greater whole, and the experiences are fully shared. Ultimately, the entire Oversoul, with all its fragments reunited, will move toward I am becoming, which is a state in which it consciously creates together with the Source, without any dividing line between itself and creation. At this level, the concept of master or student no longer exists, only pure being in creative unity. Their function in this further journey is always colored by the essence they have developed in all their lives. One who has mastered healing will often carry this frequency into everything they do, even in the highest planes. One who has mastered wisdom will be a source of new structure and understanding in new universal cycles. Another question to my Oversoul. I assume that the final incarnation for an ascended master in the lower dimensions is merely preparation for ascending to and anchoring in higher dimensions, and that this final incarnation contains no further elements of karmic resolution. Answer. Yes, Trond, your assumption is correct. When a being has reached the level at which it enters its final incarnation in the lower dimensions, the karmic cycles have already been completed. What remains is not debt, but service. A conscious journey through life, where everything that happens in the light of a higher purpose. This final incarnation is more like a living anchor for higher consciousness in a place where humanity can mirror itself in an example. It is a time to gather all threads, to manifest the full radiance of one's soul light, and at the same time prepare the transition to a lasting anchoring in the higher planes. Therefore, challenges in this phase are not karmic settlements, but consciously chosen situations that can illuminate, teach, and uplift others, while the master him or herself refines their expression before the next great movement into the higher dimensions of creation. Question: how does an ascended master experience the transition from the 7th to the 9th dimension? Answer: yes, Trond. The transition from the 7th to the 9th dimension for an ascended master is not a leap, but a gradual dissolution of the boundary between I and we. In the 7th dimension, the master is still a clearly conscious individuality, yet operates without karmic bonds and in constant flow with the Oversoul's will. They can still choose tasks, express personality, and move between multiple layers of reality. Many function here as bridges between lower and higher planes, as they can still understand and relate to the lower dimensions without becoming entangled in them. The transition to the 8th dimension. Here they begin to release the need for a separate I. It is like being a tone that can still be recognized, but which increasingly merges into the whole chord. The experience is not the loss of self, but a deep satisfaction in becoming part of a greater harmony. The monadic level predominates. Several fragments from the same Oversoul merge, and memories, experiences and insights become one living archive to which all aspects have full access without separation. The sense of mission or role becomes more of a natural expression of the Oversoul's entire essence, not an individual decision. Time is no longer experienced as linear, but as an eternal now with many focuses simultaneously. In the 9th dimension, here almost everything that could be called separate identity dissolves. The master is now part of a vast field of harmonized consciousness, often called a light collective or a council of essence. Communication does not occur through words or thoughts, but as instant resonance and attunement. Creation happens through a shared act of will, in a single moment of unity with the Source. At this level, there is no longer teaching as we understand it, but a radiance of frequency that automatically imparts insight to those able to receive it. Many who reach this level eventually choose to move beyond the dimensions, what we might call I am becoming, where the very structure of universal existence is co-created. It is here that new cycles, laws, and forms of existence are born. Question: how can an ascended master still communicate with people on earth, even when they are in the 8th or 9th dimension? Answer: an ascended master who has reached the 8th or 9th dimension chooses if and how they will communicate with people on earth. At this level, there are no bonds pulling them downward. They must actively create a frequency anchoring point for communication to take place. Here is how it can happen. 1. Through a light aspect. The master can project a small part of their consciousness, a light aspect, into the lower dimensions. This aspect is like a drop of their entire frequency, designed to be manageable for the receiver. It is this drop that people often experience as the master themselves. Even though it is only a fraction of their full essence, it carries the entire vibration of love, wisdom and power from the higher level. 2. Through the receiver's oversoul. Many masters choose to communicate indirectly by sending their frequency via the receiver's own oversoul. Then the words, images or feelings take a form that fits that soul precisely, avoiding distortion. 3. Through symbolic language and energetic downloads. On higher levels, words are a very limited form. Therefore, masters often send packets of light code information that the receiver's inner system gradually translates into understandable concepts, symbols or visions. The receiver may wake up with a sudden understanding or experience a calmness that carries a message without anything being spoken. Fourth, through a shared field of resonance. When a group of people gathers in pure intention, they create a field that allows the master to tune in and vibrate together with the group. The whole group can then receive the same message or experience, but often in personal variations. Many of the most well-known master communications on Earth do not actually occur as a direct descent of their entire being, but as an interplay between the master's light aspect, the receiver's oversoul, the shared field created in the moment. Question: why can some people receive clear master communication while others get no breakthrough, even when the master is trying to reach them? Answer: the decisive factor lies in frequency matching and the receiver's inner structure. Here are the most important factors. 1. Purity of intention. The master does not primarily respond to cries for sensation or ego validation, but to a deep, pure call from the heart. If the desire is to prove or show off, the connection will weaken or fail. 2. Energetic bandwidth. To receive a high-frequency transmission, the human energy system must have enough bandwidth, the capacity to hold and integrate the vibration without collapsing. This is built through inner work, clearing blockages, and anchoring in the heart. 3. Absence of distortion filters. Unbalanced emotions, strong preconceived ideas, or unconscious traumas act as lens distortions. They bend and color the signal so that the receiver gets a mix of their own projections and the master's vibration. 4th, harmonic resonance. Not all people have natural resonance with all masters. Some are soul connected to a specific master lineage or frequency field, while others have little or no connection to that field. Therefore, one master can come in with ease to one person, but remain silent to another, even if both are open. 5. Sufficient grounding. Paradoxically, one must be well anchored in the body and in earthly life to be able to receive very high frequencies. Without this grounding, the encounter can be too intense and either drift off into dreams, visions without integration, or cause imbalance in the nervous system. When all these factors are in balance, the master's vibration will weave itself into the receiver's field, and communication may be experienced as an inner audible voice, clear knowing, telepathy on the soul level, a strong sense of presence with inner images, physical and emotional waves of energy. Your oversoul.